Welcome back to Zach's Audio. Today we're going to be reading Horror Heights by BEC HILL. The Slime. Horror Heights, The Slime. A note from the author. In my travels around the world as a writer, comedian and TV presenters, I've heard my fair share of spooky stories and strange happenings. Every town, neighbourhood or community has one, but one place in particular stood out from the rest. It didn't have one unexplained event, it had 13 weird still. They all occurred between the same date and two individuals at the same school. I have been fortunate enough to be granted access to classified reports and exclusive interviews with the people involved so that the experience can be anonymously shared without affect any current investigations from purpose of privacy and safety. Names have been changed, and I've dubbed the location Horror Heights. If any the indictments mentioned within these books have happened to you, or if you believe you might live in Horror Heights, please report it to an adult you trust. Stay safe and remember, follow the recipe. BEC HILL. Chapter 1. No, cried Connie. But it was too late. Mr. Strap was heading to the convocation cupboard in the staff room with Connie's last tub of slime again. Why does she always do that? Connie sulked. Maybe it would be better if you didn't bring your slime collection to school, suggested Alice in a kind tone. Connie's second best friend was always trying to work out a better way to do things, a faster way to run, a quicker way to do homework. Alice had even worked out the most efficient way to disarm someone in a fight. Throw something in their face. I can't leave the tubs at home, said Connie. Then no one will know that I'm Connie, Queen of Slime. Actually, said JD, leaning back in the chair, if Mr. Strap has them all, then that makes her the Queen of Slime. Quite being a sassbot, JD, said Amy. She turned to Connie. You nearly made the whole week without getting it confiscated. Better luck next time. Amy was superstitious, and Connie, other's second best friend. Some kid thought she was a bit bonkers, but that's what made her so much fun to be around. Alice and Amy kept chatting, shouting over Connie, whose desk was between them. She liked the fact that her desk was sandwiched between her friends, but hearing them in a stereo could be a bit overwhelming sometimes. What do you think, Mrs. Strap? Does with all the slime? Asked Alice. I think she eats them out, Amy replied. I think she takes them home and pours them all into the bath and then just lies in it, said Alice, bursting into giggles. Yes, said Amy, struggling to contain her laughter in the nude. Connie clasped her hands over her ears. The thought of her slime being anywhere near her teacher's exposed buttocks was enough to make her woozy. Something tickled the back of my neck. She quickly slapped it in case it was a spider, and Ryan was filming one of his dumb pranks on his phone. Thankfully, it was just a note from Nat, who sat behind her. Cheer up, it's nearly the weekend. Deserves tonight. Connie grinned. Diverse, short for Danger University, was an online game where players could team up to complete tasks like slay a dragon or escape a dungeon or open a hat shop. Her first best friend Nat was her questioning partner. The pair were almost opposites. Nat was calm, additionally and precise, while Connie was restless, silly, and spontaneous. But when they worked together, they were incredible. She turned around and gave Nat a double thumbs up, just as Miss Snap marked back in. Mrs. Snap wasn't a tall lady, but she walked like she was. She always looked pensive, as if she was trying to do a crossword in her head and couldn't work out the final clue. No one had ever seen her smile. Legend said she once came close, but the only kid who was there at the time passed out in terror before they saw her lips form a complete grin. As Miss Snap made her way to the front of the class, everyone sat up straight again except for Amy, who was still giggling at the image of Mrs. Strap bathing in slime. Her shoulders shook. Alice whispered out the corner of her mouth Amy's direction. Slimy Strap. Amy shoulders vibrate. A single tear rolled down her cheek as she attempted to stifle the sniggers escaping her mouth. Alice continued, and her blobby bum. Amy exploded with a loud snort laugh, shocking everyone, including Mrs. Snap. "What seems to be so funny, Amy?" the teacher asked sternly. Amy composed herself. Funny meme I remembered. Fascinating. You can draw it for me after class. But I've got rehearsal for the Horror Heights play. Well, I guess you're going to be late, aren't you? Amy knew better than to argue any further. I might as well be cursed, she muttered under her breath, as if giving a kid the detention for giggling wasn't bad enough. Mrs. Strap then gave everyone homework. They had to make a poster about ancient Egypt over the weekend. Connie hated poster projects. They either had to be really well researched or really artistic, and Connie wasn't good at research or art. The bell rang and Miss Strap dismissed the class. Alice apologised to Amy and offered to wait around for her to finish detention. "I'd wait too," added Connie, "but I don't want Dad to go shopping without me. I need a new slime." "What happened to the one what your aunt sent you?" asked Nat. "It shriveled up into a little piece of plastic. Remember," said Connie. "Dust slime, worst enemy." "You're so lucky your dad buys you slime," said Amy. Nat raised an eyebrow at Connie. She was the only one who knew the truth about how Connie got her slime. But like a true first best friend, she didn't say anything. "Yeah," added Alice. My mum never buys me new stuff. Isn't she getting you a phone for your birthday in a few weeks? Connie reminded her with a tinge of envy. Yeah, Alice said, but I've promised to only use it for phone calls and training. I'm gonna like my fitness trackers to it so I can trace my running route. If I had a phone, I'd watch slime videos. Like all time, said Connie. That's why you're not allowed one, said Nat. She grinned without looking up. She was the only one in the group who had a phone, and she was already using it to research facts for her weekend excitement. Connie looked over at Nat's shoulder. Does it say anything about whether the ancient Egypts were allowed phones? Well, they did have tablets, said Nat, with a wink. Connie groaned, laughed, and picked up her bag. Remember, she whispered to Amy as she left, if Mrs. Strap smiles, don't look directly at it. Chapter 2. Connie walked quietly as if her life depended on it. In some way it did. If her dad got home before her, it means he went shopping without her, which means she couldn't get a new slime, which means she could lose her reputation as Connie Queen of Slime. She was given her title earlier that year. Everyone in her class was told to bring in an item related to their hobby, and she had nothing to bring in. In fact, she didn't have a hobby unless you counted watching TV or gaming, and Miss Strap had made it very clear that she didn't. She was the only kid in the final year of primary school without an obvious skill. Even her friends had special talents. Nat was nerdy, Amy was artistic, and Alice was athletic. Compared to those around her, Connie felt very ordinary. However, the day before they had to present the items, she randomly received a bouncy Roo poo slime in the post from her auntie. Connie had never shown an interest in slime, and she had certainly never asked for it. But without anything else to talk about, she took it to school. Improvised presentation about being a slime collector was a surprising success. Her classmates found her made-up hobby so amusing, they dubbed her Connie Queen of Slime. And she no longer felt ordinary, she felt extraordinary. To keep her title, Connie became an actual slime collector. It wasn't easy, her allowance was pitiful, and her dad wouldn't buy it, so she had to be forced to develop the Step 4 slime heist plan. Step 1, the helpful assistant. Connie would help her dad do the groceries, shopping, and make sure he didn't miss anything on his list. The more items at the checkout, the better. Step 2, the sprint. While Connie's dad was busy squeezing every avocado to see which ones were ripe, Connie would run to the forbidden aisle, the one with all the toys and party supplies that her dad refused to go down. She would pick a new slime and hide it in her hand. Fun fact, magicians call this plumbing. Step 3, the misdirect. At the checkout, Connie would point to the latest clash of cakes with Hell Melon magazines. She'd say something like, "Look, Dad, the tips for a good grocery pud." It always worked. Baking was his weakness. While he was distracted, she could implement. Step 4, the switch. Connie would add the slime she palmed earlier to the conveyor belt for the server to scan, then swiftly pocket it again before her dad saw. He would pay for all the shopping, totally unaware that he had also buying Connie's latest slime. Connie's slime heist meant that she always had new slime to bring it and show off. Glittery, unicorn slime, smelly sewer slime, glow-in-the-dark, radioactive slime, you name it. Connie had a heist it, and Mrs. Strapp had confiscated it. She felt bad about tricking her dad, but she fully committed to her new identity and didn't plan on losing it. Then again, she also didn't have a plan on what would happen after she got home that day. Chapter 3. Connie's flat wasn't huge, but it had everything she and her dad ever needed. The entrance opened into the living room, with a small kitchen closed off to the left. On the opposite side of the living room was the hallway, which had Connie's room on the right and the main bathroom on the left. At the far end of the hall bathroom, so Connie couldn't hear his singing in the shower or his bowel movements on the loo. She was eternally grateful for that. When she got home from school, she opened the door and threw her school bag at the little round dining table just ahead of her. It missed by a mile and slammed into the wall. "Oi," came an unexpected voice. Is this what you do when I'm not home?" It gave Connie a fright. She peered left around the corner into the living room. Her dad was lying on the couch with his foot bandaged up. It turned out he'd hurt it at work, and the doctor had sent him home for the rest. It wasn't serious, but it looked swollen, so she went to fetch some frozen peas for it. When she opened the kitchen door, she was hit by an unsettling stench. "Oof, Dad, did you fart?" Connie asked. She pinched her nose. "Gross, it smells like a dirty sock in here." "Is it the bins? I hope not. Is it not bin day until Monday?" Connie checked both the rubbish and recycling bins in the corner of the kitchen near the door. They smell fine. Her dad appeared, hopping on one leg. "Pooey," we waved a hand in front of his nose. "Connie, you stinker." "It wasn't me," she insisted. "I'm joking," said her dad with a laugh. "It's my mother." Connie screwed her face up, confused. "Gran's here?" "No." Her dad pointed a jar resting on the counter, as if that somehow explained everything. "The mother is a mix of yeast and bacteria, so I can bake my own sourdough bread." "Ew, Dad, that's rank." "Oh, don't say that in front of the mother. You know it's a living orgasm, right?" He held the jar, pretending to cover its ears. Connie snuck her tongue out. Her dad went to ruffle her hair, but lost in his balance and stood on his bad foot. "Ow." Connie helped him back to the sofa. Her dad could be annoying sometimes and embarrassing, but she didn't want him to be in pain. Anyway, she needed him to get better quickly so they can go to the shops for more stealth slime. "Thanks, Con," her dad said, settling back on the cushions. "You're a good kid, the best. It's so nice of you letting me rest." "No problem," said Connie. "And to make me a cup of tea," he said, flashing a cheeky grin. "Fine." Connie rolled her eyes and headed back to the kitchen to pop the kettle on, holding her nose to fend off the stench. Chapter 4. It was getting dangerously near the supermarket closing times, and Connie's dad was still lying on the sofa with his tablet. She stood in front of him, dancing from foot to foot. "Con, do you need a wee? Have you forgotten how to use a big person's toilet? Shall I lay out some newspaper?" he joked. "Dad, it's getting late. We have to go weekly shopping." "Oh, I've already done it," he said, proudly waving his tablet. "I ordered the groceries on my massive phone ages ago." He had called his tablet a massive phone for a joke. Connie made the mistake of laughing, so he started doing all the time. "It should have been delivered Monday night. How cool is that?" "What?" The colour drained from her face. She couldn't be the queen of slime if she didn't have any slime. Connie ran to her room and frantically screeched amongst the mess. She figured they must have a spare slime somewhere. She checked under the bed, nothing. She checked in the school bag, nothing. She even checked the bottom drawer, which she never used it. Had fidget spinners, food-themed erasers, loom bands. A slime tub. She peeked back for lip. No, it was her old, dusty, dried-up, bouncy poo slime. She couldn't take that to school. Wow, I guess I missed it. The warning about hurricane. "Connie," said her dad, leaning against her bedroom doorway like a pirate on one leg. "He served the mess. What got into you?" I need more slime for school on Monday," she explained. It wasn't exactly a lie. "What? Like a science experiment?" Yeah," she said. Why don't you make some?" Connie's heart sank. He didn't get it. Everyone could tell homemade slime for real. Slime stained your hands, smell like glue, and it was always too slimy. "No, I need the proper stuff," said Connie. "Nonsense." Her dad instead. "I'll bet you I'll get a bonus mark for making it yourself. I know your friends will think you're really smart and cool. I'll find a recipe on my massive phone." He hobbled off, and Connie sighed. Could things get any worse? Yes, they could. Chapter 5. The enormous dragon towered over Connie and Nat, ready to devour them both. They'd been trying to complete the quest for weeks. All they had to do was destroy the final boss. But it was imperative to the attacks. A message from Nat popped up in the diverse chat box. "Nat 831415. I think we have to be more logical. What's a fire-breathing dragon's biggest weakness?" Connie looked around the dungeon. They were fighting in a spotted something on the floor. "Connie pizza cake. Got it." She delivered, grabbing the fire extinguisher. She took an aim and released a spray of foam into the dragon's jaws. The dragon gulped, blinked, and then exploded, showering the two avatars in gold, coins, and guts. "Nat 831415. That was amazing. Connie Pizza Cakes couldn't have done it without you. Connie's stomach gurgled. Connie Pizza Cake, gotta go, eat, bye. She shut her dad's laptop and took it back to the living room. Dad, what's for dinner? Pizza cake, he announced, looking up from his tablet. I thought you might have needed the kitchen to make your slime, so I ordered in. You should have time before it arrives. He held up a piece of paper from her to take. It was a slime recipe he had copied from a website with a little cartoon blob drawn in the corner. Connie felt a pang of guilt about her slime heist. She decided it was worth giving a shot. Most kids failed when they tried to make slime, but what if Connie's hidden talent? What if she could make it just as good as the stuff in the shops? Or even better, what if it was so good that she could sell it and pay her dad back for all the tubs of slime he had unknowingly bought? As she entered the kitchen, the smell of mother slapped her across the face like a damp pair of pants. Connie held her breath, rolled up her sleeves, and got to work. After what felt like hours of measuring and mixing, but was only about 10 minutes, Connie finally had her slime, except it smelled like glue, stained her hands green, and it was too slimy. It definitely wasn't her hidden talent. Yikes, she said. Connie wasn't ready to give up so quietly. Thought she enjoyed thinking on her feet and hoped she could fix it with some extra ingredients. First, she needed something which made stuff less wet. She remembered the foot powder her dad brought in bulk from the street market. He used it to dry out his sweaty shoes after basketball, but he kept it in his suit because the label said children shouldn't use it. Unfortunately, he nodded off on the couch, so Connie quietly ran to his room and grabbed the massive tub from his bathroom. She scooped a few spoonfuls into the bowl and watched as the mixture started to thicken up. It was working well, a little too well. It became less slimy and more like cement. She tried to knead it with her green-stained hands, but the dense concoction turned them bright blue. She pumped some liquid soap into her palms and washed it off. Of course, she thought soap. If a liquid soap could wash off the colour of her hand, then it could probably prevent her slime from staining them in the first place. It could even make the mix slimy again. Connie emptied the bottle of liquid soap into the bowl and stirred it all together. The mixture stopped staining her hands blue and became her perfect consistency, but it still smelled like glue. If slime smelled like glue, it was a dead giveaway. That is what homemade each slime foam from the shops had a special scent like yummy cotton candy or revolting rotten eggs. Connie's slime needed a unique aroma. It needed to be bold, brave, daring. She took a deep breath and it hit her. Dirty socks. Connie picked up her dad's jar of mother and carefully unscrewed the lid. The stink was even worse than before. She had heard a snort from the living room and froze. If her dad caught her messing with the mother, she'd be in deep trouble. She peeped into the living room. Her dad was still snoozing. He rolled over, twitching his nose. "Oh, excuse me, Ambassador. I seem to have passed wind," he murmured. She was safe. She reserved back into the kitchen and held her beneath, partly due to the nerves and partly because it stank. 1 teaspoon of mother was all it took. The slime smelled exactly like dirty socks. Before Connie had celebrated, the slime turned yellow/brown, like a cross between mustard and poo. "Okay," Connie thought. Then the slime began to bubble. Oh my, then the slime became hot, really hot. Oh no, Connie felt nervous. She recalled a science lesson where Miss Strap told them that being irresponsible with chemicals could lead to painful burns. She quickly spooned the heavy mixture into the rubbish bin, being careful not to touch it. "Big yag," she muttered. "So much for Connie's Queen of Slime." Chapter 6. "At least you tried, kiddo," said Connie's dad. Thought a mouthful of pizza. She hadn't told him about the extra ingredients she'd added to the slime recipe. "Don't think I've forgotten about the state of your room, though," he added, tossing the last crust back into the box. "I don't want mice again. You better clean it tomorrow. In fact, you can get some practice in now." He passed her the pizza box. "Remember, rubbish goes in the bin with the blue lid, and recycling goes in the bin with the yellow lid." Yeah, Connie sighed and headed to the kitchen. It smells worse than before, thanks to her failed slime experiment sitting in the bin. "Hey, it's your planet, Con. You gotta look after it." Truth was, she did care about the planet, and usually very careful when it came to recycling, but a pizza box was a perfect size to cover up the slime and stop the smell from escaping. So she wedged it into the bin with a blue lid and got ready for bed. Through night, Connie dreamt she was a real queen, and she owned all the slime in the world. She had maids who cleaned up her room and did her homework for her. Miss Strap apologized for being so mean all the time, and everyone cheered her name as she walked through the school. Connie, Queen of Slime, Connie, Queen of Slime. Chapter 7. Connie, Queen of Slime. Connie woke up with a start. She couldn't swear someone had yelled out her name. The sun was up, but only just. Her room was still a mess from the day before, and it smelled like dirty socks. She rolled over to check the time, only to be confronted by a pair of unblinking eyes there on a pillow. The size of the sandwich was a disgusting yellow-brown blob. It beamed a gummy grin. "Connie, Queen of Slime," it yelled. Connie yelped as she jumped out of bed and flung her pillow away from her. The slime went flying across the room and into the wall, a splat. "Wee," the slime said in a muffled voice as it slid squishingly to the floor. Connie felt bad about flinging it so hard. She climbed back on the bed. "Little blob," she called in a quiet, scared voice. "Are you okay?" She peered over the edge of the bed, trying to distinguish what was floor, which was a mess, and what could be the blob. "Connie, Queen of Slime," yelled the blob from behind her. Connie yelped again and toppled off the end of the bed, bumping her head on the ground. "Ow." "Oh no," squealed the slime, looking down
at her from the edge of the bed. Something that vaguely resembled an arm stretched out and softly patted her on the head. Pat, pat, it said. Connie was too scared to move. What? No, who are you? She managed to stutter. Big, exclaimed the slime, as it retracted its arm back at itself. Big, yes, confirmed the slimy, cheerful Connie, queen of slime. Call me Big, yikes. Big, yikes, it sounds familiar. Oh my gosh, you're the slime I made yesterday. Yes, Connie, queen of slime, makes Big yikes. Then give Big yikes nice warm house. Then give Big yikes tasty hard nice warm house like this, said Big, pointing her to her bin. Ah, I see. And what of the tasty hard? Tasty hard, repeated Big, rubbling its belly with its little blobby arms. Connie tried to remember she'd thrown it into the bin the night before. Do you mean the pizza crust? Yes, more tasty hearts for Big. It asked, giving Connie puppy dog eyes. It looked almost cute, like a baby made of jelly, and jelly baby, but bigger, like a jelly baby who'd eaten all the other jelly babies. Connie couldn't believe it either. She was the victim of a very elaborate prank, or she was actually having a conversation with a living slime, a slime she made. If it was real, then she was going to be rich. Every kid in school would want one. At that moment, Connie heard a thumping sound. It started faint and then grew louder and louder. It was her dad hopping towards her room. As nice as he was a bit jumpy when it came to animals and very allergic. She once saw him freak out and flattened a mouse with a frying pan. It was eating a piece of cheese on her bedroom floor. Which she secretly left out for it. She had always felt quite guilty about that. Daddy squealed Big as it oozed towards her door. Daddy has tasty heart. Connie panicked. No, Daddy has no tasty heart. Why am I talking like you? Won't. Dad won't have any pizza crust. You have to stay quiet. Just then, a loud scream came from the other side of the bedroom door, causing her to jump. Big slid behind her trembling dad. You okay? She called. Yeah, it's just my achie sneezing, he called back. Her dad was having a sneezing fit. Squeeze was a word coined by Connie to describe her dad. Scream sneeze. They were so sudden and forceful that even though Connie knew he wasn't in danger, she always gave her a fright. Her dad gave a gentle nod before hopping his head into her room. Morning, Con, he began, but then he noticed the room and started sputtering. Whoa, it stinks in here. And no wonder, this room is a tip. You really need to tidy it. Look at all this stuff. He picked up a cap from the floor as he lifted it towards his head. Connie noticed big hidden inside. It gasped onto the edges of the room. No, Connie yelled, leaping up and snatching that from her dad. Whoa, do you really think it will look that bad on me, Charming? No, it's just I wanted to wear it. Connie so said, quickly putting it on. She felt the warm sickness of the slime as it hugged the top of her head. The smell was overpowering. She winced but managed to smile as if everything was fine. "Okay, you're being weird," her dad said, turning to leave. "Not big weirdo, big yikes," came a muffled reply from her hat. Connie's dad turned back around. "Did you say something?" She looked around her room. "Big yikes, look how messy this room. I'd better clean it up." As a girl, if you get all your chores done this weekend, I'll order pizza again tomorrow. Tasty hard, Big burbled into Connie's hair. "What was that, Con?" "Tasty hard work will pay off." She smiled awkwardly and then gave him a thumbs up. He gave a thumbs up back and hopped off. When she was certain the coast was clear, Connie pulled her cap off, but Big Yikes wasn't inside it. Big, she whispered. Connie, Queen of Slime, Big whispered back. The slime was still hugging her head. Connie plucked the clingy creature off it and plonked it onto a bedside table. She grabbed some clothes from a pile on the floor and headed for the bathroom. She figured a quick shower would help her gather her thoughts and get rid of the stink radiating from her hair. "It'll be back soon. You stay here, okay?" she said. If Big was real and not a figment of her imagination, she could risk it roaming around the house looking for pizza crust and scaring her dad. "Okay," said Big. "Anything for Connie, Queen of Slime." Chapter 8. In the shower, Connie reflected on recent turn of events and decided her mind was playing tricks on her. Nat had once told her about a condition where your body wakes up in the morning, but your brain thinks it's asleep and carries on dreaming. When she felt more refreshed, she knew Big Yanks had just been a weird hallucination. She got dressed and held her breath as she opened the bedroom door. There was nothing there. Relief washed over her with a hint of disappointment. Nothing except her boring, messy room and the pungent stench of dirty socks. It is possible to hallucinate smells, she thought, sniffing the air. Connie got down on all fours like a dog, sussing out the perfect pea spot in the park. The smell was coming from her backpack, her lunch to be exact. She pleated the back lid. "Yay," cheered the slime. "You found Big." Connie had now. It was no hallucination. Connie had somehow managed to create a silent slime creature with the ability to play hide and seek. She wondered what else it could do. Chapter 9. Connie spent all morning teaching Big Yikes various tricks and games. In her room by lunch, the slime could fetch, roll over, beg, high five. It was also surprisingly good at Davos, considering it was only a day old and didn't have any thumbs. Big Yikes was so keen to learn and help that Connie began to feel quite proud of her phalange-like little friend. She couldn't wait to take it to school on Monday and show it off to her classmates. The bouncy Rupoo slime was nothing compared to Big Yikes. The playing was interrupted by more of her dad's screams coming from the living room. "Cheese, have you cleaned your room yet? Either we have mice or cheese or abundance of cheese dust," he yelled. Connie knew the truth. It wasn't mice or dust. Her dad was allergic to a secret ingredient, blob. She was harboring in her room, she realised she could never tell him about Big. At best, her dad would be impressed, but make her get rid of it because of its allergy. At worst, he would freak out like he did when the mouse and fetched the frying pan. The squeezing continued. Connie was going to get Big out of the flat for a while before her dad got suspicious. But she couldn't take Big to see her friends yet because they were all busy on Saturdays. Nat tutored her cousins, Amy had rehearsals for her play, and Alice was training for the 100-mile sprint in the community sports tournaments. Plus, she didn't know if Big was ready to meet other people just yet. She didn't want her little slime to feel scared or upset. What Connie needed was somewhere where Big could observe people at a distance, somewhere safe. Somewhere she thought, catching a whiff of Big distinctive odour with plenty of fresh air. Connie hurried past her dad in the living room. Big was hiding quietly in her backpack, nestled between her lunchbook and water bottle. "School on Saturday," her dad said, blowing his nose. "I'm going for a walk in the park," she said. She pointed her thumbs at her bag on her back. "Taking water and snacks? Good idea. Sorry, I can't join you," her dad replied, nodding at his swollen ankle. "The doctor told me no leaving home while I'm on my medication, or I might fall asleep and end up in a hole or something." "But what about the game tomorrow?" Connie asked, concerned. Her dad to volunteer as the under-13s basketball coach, and they were in the community sports tournament. The next day, she had no interest in basketball, but she knew the event meant a lot to him. "Can they compete with you there?" "They'll have to," he sighed, "but they're very talented. They won't need me." Connie gave him a comforting hug and kissed him on the head. "Kiss, kiss," said her back in a muffled voice. Her dad raised an elbow. "Oops," said Connie, blushing. "Just did some squeaky farts." He burst out laughing, which eventually turned into another series of squeaks. "I'll vacuum when I get back, promise," Connie yelled, heading out the door. Chapter 10. Page 44. This is the end of Zach's audiobook. This is part 1 of Horror Heights by BEC HILL. I hope you enjoyed Zach's audio, and I hope you had a great night. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and there'll be a part 2 tomorrow. Thank you for watching.